Look at the simple phrase Australians are, how the politicians and how often they were using this term in order to try and promote unity or promote an idea of separation. What I was interested in is how language is used to maybe define who we are as a nation. We basically got all of the transcripts from the Senate Hansard records since Federation from 1901 to 2021 in order to try and text mine the material to remove every sentence from the transcript that uses the phrase Australians are. And from those sentences, we remove the first verb and adverb. And so you were left with a series of terms. The words sound something like this: going to be less loyal, established, true, valued, concerned, to be paid, whitening, and so forth. To fill the air works with Schlieren imaging. It's an optical technique which allows you to capture breath. It also works with how air is disrupted by various forces around us. And in this case, it's disrupted by breath, which is driven by language. To read through the entire list takes around 2 hours. I record this whole process in slow motion because I'm interested in seeing how turbulence emanates from the body and changes the atmosphere. It functions on the difference between the ambient air temperature and the temperature of your breath as you're speaking. These different versions of air will refract light differently. Using a semi-elaborate setup using what's known as a point source light with a very tiny pinprick of a hole that laser etched, you can fire a beam of light into the spherical mirror and then it can bounce back onto the camera itself. I wanted the visitor or the viewer to see whether these terms resonated with them. This is the same text that I speak in front of the mirror, but here I've asked people to read some of the text and try to memorize sections of it. The process of recollection I find is important because there's this whole idea of whether or not it resonates with them, whether or not they find it memorable, whether or not they understand it. All of these white drips on the wall, it's basically a graph of each year and how often the phrase Australians are was used. It starts over here in 1901. It's only a tiny bit, and you can see it gets larger and larger and larger until 2021 it goes right down to the floor. I'm interested in the parliamentary process because I'm interested in democracy. I think that democracy is something that requires work. It's something that requires compromise, and it's something that requires listening to perspectives that don't resonate with you. And I think that's really important. But I also feel that it's driven by a rise in populism that I find disturbing. There's a sense of magic when you see the invisible, when you see that refraction and the breath coming out